Does a book exist that promises to reveal what humanity has sought since the dawn of consciousness, the origin of the universe, the purpose of life, and the true destiny of the soul? A book that, according to its own accounts, was not born from an ordinary human mind, but was dictated by superior intelligences inhabiting spheres beyond all human comprehension. A book so mysterious, so vast in its wisdom, that it has been studied in silence by mystics, Gnostics, and spiritual scientists for generations, and even today continues to divide those who dare to explore it? Is this work an authentic revelation sent to awaken a sleeping humanity, or is it simply a dazzling fiction born from the depths of the collective unconscious? Prepare yourself because on this journey you will find no dogmas or easy answers, only questions so profound they will challenge everything you believe you know about existence. Today we will dive into the Urantia book, a manuscript forbidden to the masses but open to those with the courage to seek the truth beyond the veil of appearances. We will uncover its hidden secrets, its sacred cosmology, and the enigmas it poses about the human soul, the invisible worlds, and the very structure of creation. This is not a simple book. It is a map, a cartography of the divine, designed not to be blindly believed, but to be experienced from the soul itself. So stay until the end, because what you are about to learn could forever change the way you perceive reality. When we speak of spiritual revelations, we generally think of ancient texts, the Gospels, the Sutras, the Emerald Tablets. But the Urantia book breaks all known structures. It did not emerge in antiquity, nor was it lost in forgotten ruins, appearing in the 20th century in the heart of Chicago. Its birth was as mysterious as its content. It all begins with an anonymous man, a patient who, while sleeping deeply, began to speak with a clarity and wisdom that defied all logic. These were not confused dreams or incoherent messages. His words were precise, elaborate, as if a mind of unimaginable vastness spoke through him. Dr. William Sadler, a skeptical but open-minded psychiatrist, was the first to observe the phenomenon. What started as a clinical curiosity soon became a portal to another dimension of knowledge. Here arises the first great question. What unknown force could transmit such advanced concepts through an ordinary human being? Over time, a small group of people, known as the Urantia Forum, began to gather around this phenomenon. They documented everything, formulated questions, and received answers that not only overflowed with theological and scientific erudition, but seemed to anticipate discoveries that official science would take decades to reach. The intelligences speaking through the patient claimed to come from higher levels of existence, belonging to a vast hierarchy of cosmic beings tasked with the evolution of the universe. Beings who, according to them, had silently accompanied human development since time immemorial. Was it possible that entire civilizations existed beyond the spectrum of our senses? What non-human intelligences had woven from the shadows the secret history of our world? As the messages accumulated, the group began to understand that what they had in their hands was not merely a collection of esoteric ideas. It was a complete system, a detailed cosmology of the universe, a manual of instructions on the origin of the soul, the purpose of life, and the final destiny of every conscious being. This is where the Urantia book begins to radically distance itself from any other known spiritual text. It does not speak in ambiguous symbols or resort to the allegorical language of the ancients. Its tone is cold, direct, almost scientific, as if it were written not to provoke faith, but to describe a reality so vast that we are only beginning to glimpse. How do we explain that a manuscript from the 1930s already described concepts about space-time, the structure of multiple universes, and cosmic evolution before science even dreamed of them? This is the second great crack in the conventional narrative. If this book was simply a human invention, then the scope of the unconscious mind is infinitely greater than we ever imagined. But if, on the other hand, what it contains is true, then we face a revelation that could transform humanity's entire vision of life, the universe, and the spirit. The book is divided into four main sections: the nature of divinity and the structure of the cosmos, the inhabited worlds and their spiritual hierarchies, the hidden history of Earth, which they call Urantia, and an extraordinarily detailed biography of Jesus Christ, who would not be merely a moral teacher, but a cosmic being incarnated with a universal mission. In its pages, we discover an organized universe in 7 super-universes, each home to trillions of planets and civilizations in different states of spiritual evolution. And in one of the arms of the Milky Way, on a small blue sphere called Urantia, a unique experiment takes place: the emergence of a race capable of ascending through all levels of existence until merging with divinity itself. What role do we play in this vast cosmic theater? The Urantia book teaches that every human being carries within them a thought adjuster, a literal spark of God destined to guide us on our journey back to the Supreme Source. This idea resonates powerfully with ancient doctrines: the Atman of Vedanta, the higher self of Hermetic traditions, the inner Christ of the Gnostics. But here the concept is taken to a level of astonishing detail. Every decision we make, every choice between love and fear, compassion or selfishness, not only affects our immediate life, but is recorded by these invisible beings that silently accompany us. Nothing is lost. Nothing is irrelevant. Every soul has a glorious destiny if it so chooses. But like all powerful knowledge, this revelation brings with it a devastating challenge: absolute responsibility for our spiritual evolution. We can no longer blame capricious gods, deceptive demons, or indifferent chance. The path to divinity is, and always has been, in our own hands. And if this is true, why do so few people know or accept this truth? The answer offered by the Urantia book is unsettling. Our civilization was isolated from the rest of the universe due to a cosmic rebellion. A being called Lucifer, yes, the same archetype we know from ancient traditions, led an insurrection against the divine order, dragging entire worlds into spiritual isolation. Earth, our planet, was caught in a cosmic quarantine. Hence the forgetfulness, hence the suffering, hence the apparent disconnection from the higher worlds. Do you realize what this implies? Our struggle is not against mere material forces. It is a struggle for reconnection, for the restoration of a sacred bond we once had, and that was lost in the mists of time. This entire panorama, the organized universes, the spiritual hierarchies, the divine spark in each of us, is not just a narrative to stimulate the imagination. It is an urgent invitation to remember who we are and to reclaim the destiny promised to us before the worlds were formed. And yet, this is not all. There is something even deeper and more mysterious hidden in the pages of this forbidden book, something that touches directly the heart of our existence: the true story of Jesus of Nazareth. Was Jesus merely an enlightened teacher, as religions teach, or is his identity far vaster, cosmic, and more challenging than we ever dared to imagine? Before continuing, let me ask you something. What would you do if you discovered that your entire life has been a silent preparation for a cosmic mission far greater than you ever imagined? If this mystery is gripping you as much as it grips me in telling it, be sure to leave your comment with your opinion so far, give a like to keep spreading this knowledge, and subscribe to continue exploring together the most hidden secrets of the universe, because now we will delve into an even deeper truth. Many have tried to explain the emergence of the Urantia book as a manifestation of the collective unconscious, a psychological experiment, or even an elaborate fiction. But those who have delved into its content know that the truth seems to escape any rational explanation. What kind of human mind could construct such a vast and coherent structure, spanning from the anatomy of the soul to the architecture of the cosmos? To understand it, we must open our perception to possibilities that our traditional education has worked hard to conceal. During the years when the mysterious patient transmitted the messages in a deep trance, he not only spoke of realities that surpassed the human knowledge of the time, but also revealed truths that seem reserved for minds of far more advanced civilizations. The beings dictating the content presented themselves as celestial personalities, entities operating from higher levels of existence, tasked with sowing seeds of consciousness in worlds still in formation, like ours. This concept surprisingly finds echo in ancient esoteric traditions. Hermeticism teaches that as above, so below, revealing that the higher planes of existence shape everything we perceive in matter. The Gnostics spoke of aeons, beings of light structuring creation beyond the visible realms, and now, centuries later, A book seemingly born in the anonymity of a Chicago bedroom reaffirmed that same ancestral wisdom. We are not alone, nor have we ever been. The Urantia book describes a living, conscious universe, teeming with intelligences that, far from intervening dramatically, operate silently, respecting our free will and our capacity for evolution. It speaks of cosmic administrators, invisible architects guiding the formation of worlds and overseeing the awakening of souls. This universe is not a cold, purposeless accident, as the modern materialistic vision has led us to believe. It is an expanding organism, a carefully orchestrated creation where every conscious being occupies a sacred place in a divine plan. But if this knowledge was meant to illuminate humanity, why was it kept hidden? Why has such an extraordinary manuscript barely been known outside select circles? Here enters an uncomfortable truth. The power systems governing the world do not thrive in light, but in ignorance. A humanity aware of its divine origin, of its direct connection to the source, would be impossible to control. Institutions based on fear, sin, and the need for intermediaries would lose all their influence. That is why, throughout history, liberating knowledge has always been suppressed, relegated to the shadows. Let us recall what the Bhagavad Gita taught. The entire universe is a battlefield between ignorance and enlightenment, between the forgetfulness of who we are and the remembrance of our eternal essence. The Urantia book appears as a powerful spark in the midst of this field, a spark capable of igniting an unstoppable flame in those willing to question the imposed reality. Some have tried to discredit the book's origin, claiming it was an experiment by William Sadler and his circle of intellectuals. But if we analyze the content honestly, we will see that its complexity surpasses any known human fiction. From advanced cosmological concepts to precise descriptions of spiritual hierarchies, the level of detail and coherence is so high that even modern scientists have been baffled to find in its pages intuitions that only decades later would be corroborated by astronomical discoveries. What human mind in the mid-20th century could describe universe structures that we are only now beginning to confirm? Who could have invented a narrative so vast that it spans from the psychology of the individual soul to the politics of cosmic civilizations? Here, science and spirituality meet face to face, like two rivers that have flowed separately for centuries and finally converge. Modern quantum physics speaks of an interconnected universe where the observer's consciousness affects reality. The unified field theory, the multiverse hypothesis, and research on dark energy are only beginning to touch the edges of what texts like the Urantia book described nearly a century ago. It is no coincidence. Eternal wisdom has always been present, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be rediscovered. And it is here that the great revelation of the Urantia book becomes personal. It not only explains the origin of the cosmos or the hierarchy of celestial beings, it speaks directly to us. It reminds us that each of us carries within a fragment of the source, an immortal spark known as the thought adjuster, a silent guide working tirelessly, whispering intuitions, inspiring dreams, and patiently waiting for us to awaken to the call of our true destiny. In times when external noise seems to devour everything, recognizing this inner guide is an act of spiritual revolution. But what does it really mean to awaken to this truth? It means understanding that the true journey is not outward, seeking answers in dogmas, leaders, or institutions, but inward, toward the luminous depth of our own being. The supreme alchemy is not the transformation of lead into gold, but the transmutation of dormant consciousness into divine consciousness. As Hermes Trismegistus taught in the Emerald Tablet, all is mind. The entire universe is mental, and by understanding this, we become conscious co-creators of our reality. The Urantia book, with all its cosmic grandeur, is ultimately a map pointing the way back home. Not a physical home, but the eternal memory of who we are. Stellar travelers, seeds of light, fragments of the infinite living, an adventure of forgetfulness and rediscovery. And perhaps, just perhaps, those who dare to follow this silent call will be the pioneers of a new era where humanity finally remembers that it was always more than flesh and bone, an eternal spirit destined to dance among the stars. Let me know in the comments what has impacted you the most so far. Subscribe and activate the bell so we can continue this journey together toward the very heart of the universe. Because what you will discover in the next part will change your vision of yourself forever. The Urantia book not only lifts the veil on the vast stage of the universe, it also reveals the intimate and sacred drama that every soul embodies. It tells us that human existence is not an accident or a punishment. It is a carefully designed journey, a pilgrimage of ascent toward ever higher levels of consciousness. Every human being, without exception, carries within an eternal spark, the thought adjuster. This tiny divine presence is not a mere symbolic concept. It is a real fragment of the infinite mind that has taken residence within you, guiding you silently through your deepest intuitions, your longings for truth, goodness, and beauty. Your soul is not alone. It has been sown with a seed that, if you choose to cultivate it, will blossom until you become a being of light. However, the path of ascension is not linear. The Urantia book reveals that the history of our planet, cosmically known as Urantia, bears the scar of an ancient rebellion. Lucifer's insurrection, far from the simplified tale delivered by traditional religions, was a cosmic event that disrupted the delicate balance of many spheres in the process of evolution, including ours. It was not a war between angels and demons in the style of popular myths. It was an insurrection against the universal order itself, an attempt to sabotage the ascension process of young worlds like ours. Lucifer, a high administrator of the local system, proclaimed absolute freedom, denying the need for a supreme creator and sowing the seeds of separation, selfishness, and materialism. This rebellion isolated us from the natural flow of communication with the higher worlds, creating a spiritual quarantine that persists to this day. Have you ever wondered why suffering, ignorance, and the forgetfulness of our true essence seem so dominant in this world? It is no coincidence. We have been waging a silent battle against a profound distortion, a collective soul disease. But here is the secret that transforms this entire story. Lucifer's rebellion was an anomaly, not a destiny. It does not define our essence. We are beings destined to ascend, to remember, to merge again with the source from which we came. The alchemy of this ascension begins within. The Urantia book teaches that every choice we make, every thought we embrace, every emotion we hold is a vibration that aligns us with or distances us from our divine destiny. It is not about obeying laws imposed from outside, but about tuning into the deepest pulse of the universe that already resides within us. And here, the true spiritual responsibility is revealed. We did not come merely to survive, to consume, or to obey thoughtlessly. We came to awaken, to ignite the spark, to walk step by step the path that transforms the human into the divine. This path of ascension is not walked alone. According to the teachings of the Urantia book, countless beings of light accompany our journey. Seraphic guardians, Melchizedek instructors, and other cosmic agents operating invisibly, respecting our free will, but constantly whispering to our hearts. The entire universe conspires for your awakening, but you must choose. You must want it. You must claim your stellar heritage with every thought, every emotion, and every action. And here, ancient mystical traditions find a perfect echo. Gnosticism taught that the human soul was trapped in a world of illusion, and that only through profound knowledge, gnosis, could it be freed. Hermeticism proclaimed that whoever knew the laws of the universe would know God. Vedanta held that Atman, the individual soul, and Brahman, the universal consciousness, are one and the same. The Urantia book does not deny these truths. It amplifies them, structures them, takes them to a level where mystery becomes spiritual science. Now imagine for a moment what it would mean to live every day knowing that you are a conscious part of a cosmic plan, that your decisions affect not only your life, but the evolution of an entire system of worlds. Imagine living not as a biological accident, but as an ambassador of light, a walker of the stars, a bearer of eternity. This is what the forbidden knowledge pulsing in the heart of the Urantia book truly offers. Not easy answers, not automatic salvations, but the invitation to remember that we are infinite and to act as such. And what about death? The Urantia book breaks with all limiting visions. Dying is not the end. It is simply crossing a threshold to subtler, more vibrant, more real worlds than this one. The soul continues its journey, learning, growing, ascending through multiple levels of existence until reaching the very center of all creation, the infinite source. Every step we take in this world, every act of love, every choice for truth brings us closer to that glorious goal. But it also warns us, not all accept the call. Many, blinded by materialism, fear, or forgetfulness, choose to stagnate, spinning in circles of pain and repetition. And yet, no matter how far we fall, the spark remains alive, waiting to be rekindled. Ultimately, the great lesson that the Urantia book whispers to those with ears to hear is this: the universe is not against you, the universe is your home, and you are the living promise of its eternal evolution. If you feel this truth awakening something deep within your being, it is because your soul has already begun to remember. Leave your reflection in the comments, share this video with those ready to awaken, and subscribe to continue exploring together the most sacred secrets of the universe. This journey is just beginning, and your light is needed. Perhaps now, after this journey, you feel within you an echo, an ancient whisper that recognizes the truth that has always dwelt in your soul. It does not matter if the story of the Urantia book is a genuine revelation or a majestic creation of the human mind. What truly matters is the transformation it provokes in those who dare to see themselves with new eyes. The idea that the entire universe is designed, that it has a higher purpose, that our life is not a coincidence or a chain of meaningless suffering, changes absolutely everything. It elevates us from the condition of spectators to that of co-creators. We understand that every thought, every emotion, every decision we make reverberates not only in our small existence, but in the vast cosmic symphony that envelops us. True knowledge, the kind that liberates and does not bind, has always been reserved for those willing to seek it beyond appearances, beyond old structures, beyond dogmas that have tried to tame our consciousness. The universe does not reward passivity. It rewards the will to remember. Remember that we are living fragments of the eternal mind. Remember that every moment we live is a sacred opportunity to ascend. Remember that divinity is not in temples of stone, but in the silence of our heart. The Urantia book, like so many texts that challenge the boundaries of reason and faith, did not come to give us all the answers on a platter. It came to ignite in us the spark of the right questions. Who am I? Where do I really come from? Where am I headed? Am I willing to assume the power that comes with being an immortal soul in a living universe? And perhaps the most important, am I ready to walk not as one who fears the darkness, but as one who carries the light? Our civilization stands at a critical moment. As a race, we are between shadow and dawn. The ancient structures are crumbling, and a new consciousness is beginning to emerge in the hearts of those who have chosen to awaken. This awakening does not depend on miraculous signs or external interventions. It depends on you, on me, on all those who, even amidst confusion, decide to look inward and remember. The rebellion that isolated us from the higher worlds was not a punishment. It was an opportunity, a test to forge in the darkness a light that cannot be extinguished, an opportunity to become not puppets of the gods, but conscious co-creators, sons and daughters of eternity. The universe awaits you, the source calls you, and your journey is just beginning. With that said, thank you for watching, and until next time, yeah.